Hello everyone, it's Amy, and I am here to do a supplement video to our Build Your Stash and Craft. And this is a glue holder. In one of my videos I had mentioned that we would make one. The thing with any kind of the sticky glues, the tacky glues, is they take forever to get to the point of our glue. And so I always store these upside down. But when you're using them, it's hard, you just try and set them up against something and they fall over, and then you go to use your glue and you're shaking and shaking. So I saw this on YouTube a long time ago, years ago. But this is the glue holder that I made at that time, and that just holds your glue right in there like that. And I have this always sitting on my desk and my glue is always in there. But whenever I craft at the table, I just bring this out and just set it there, and I put my glue in there. I just decorated it up, and this was a juice bottle. And when I put my tissue paper on there and I was drying it with a heat gun, I melted it. So I very quickly, as it started to shrivel up, I very quickly put it on my table and just pressed it down really flat and kind of heated up the other side that wasn't melted and just kept the whole thing flat. And then I just decorated around that, and actually I liked the way that it turned out. I stuck some lace and stuff, some ribbon inside the cracks before I painted it. But yeah, so this was just a juice bottle. But if you decide that you're going to be impatient and try and dry your tissue paper, make sure you don't melt it, because it was kind of a pain. But yeah, that will sit right there and that will hold my glue up. So we're going to make one of those for our little tacky glues. Now, the one we're going to make today, we're going to use a pop bottle, because we need something that we're going to put that tacky glue in there. And even if, it's like make it go sideways, it still just kind of pops back up to the top. So I really like that. If I had tried to use something like the juice bottle, that would not have worked. So we're going to use that, and that will not hold our larger bottles well, because they will want to tip over, and they'll take the weight of that large bottle would take this with it, but these little bottles will work perfectly. So what I have here is just a pop bottle. First thing I did was test to make sure that yes, it will sit in there. And is it totally perfect or anything? No, but I kind of like gave it a shake to see, and it's definitely going to hold that. So we don't want it to be too large, because we don't need to take up all the space. All we need to do is make sure that when we put this in here, that we have cut off enough of the bottle that the tip isn't going to touch the table and push the jar out. And so I'm going to cut it right along this line right here. And the way to do that is I'm going to use my knife very carefully. Make sure you don't extend it too far. And very carefully, I'm just going to, there is a line there. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do, I think, to start is I'm going to start right here at the edge of the label, and I'm just going to push my knife in there. And then I'm going to go along the edge of the label, not worrying too much about how straight it is. Very carefully, very carefully. If your knife is sharp, it will go through there fairly well. Keep your hands and your fingers back from where that blade is at the front. And if your knife is not sharp, then you'll need to break that knife off. And you'll want to do that like with a pair of pliers, and grab a hold of it and snap it on the line to get to the next section. Unlock it, shut it, lock it back up again. Okay, so we've got our bottle now. And what else we're going to need is I have my water glue. The other thing I was going to tell you is whenever I start with my water glue, I always shake it. But also before I put it away, after I put the top on, I always shake it too. And then I put it away. And what happens is that kind of gets a little bit of glue up here around the ring. And that kind of seals your water glue. Like I said, I've had my water glue for ages and ages, and it lasts forever. And I think that really helps. Okay, now on our bottle, there is still a little ridge right here, and because I cut by the label, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my scissors and I'm going to cut around that ridge. And I'm going to do that just so that my bottle, that gives me something to go by to make sure that my bottle is straight. So I'm just going to cut around that ridge. And it's much easier to cut it once you've got the bottle separated. It's much easier to use your scissors. Okay, and I'm going to look at that. It looks good. I thought this was washed, but it's not, so I'm going to have to wash that. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do next is we'll need some of our sandpaper, and I'm just going to rough it up because I am going to glue some tissue paper to it to decorate it all up, and I want the glue and the tissue paper to stick. Make sure you kind of get in the crease of the bottle here, because you don't want that coming off. You could even do this a little bit before if you think that would be easier to hold. I kind of think it's easier to hold like this because I can put one hand in the top and one hand in the bottom and make it really good and solid. And the nice thing is you can always kind of tell where you've got it and where you haven't, because once you sand it, it makes the bottle milky. Okay, I'm going to sand around this bottom edge right here. And then I'll sand a little bit around the top. And on the top, you don't have to worry about getting in all the ridges or anything, because the ridges will help hold onto your tissue paper and glue also. Oops. So I'm just going to give it a quick go around the top. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go wash my sanding dust off of here and wash the inside of this, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got that all wiped off, and I wiped the sanding dust off my table. And now I've just decided to use green and yellow tissue paper. I figured that would kind of match one of the storage jars that I made. And I just put a lot of red and blue on my faux roll top desk. So I think I'll go to the green and yellow. And just as easy as before, this is just, I'll tell you what, water glue and tissue paper can like fix or make anything. I don't know exactly how to say it, but this is, I love doing this. I just absolutely love playing with the glue and the tissue and getting some texture in there. And it's just the simplest thing to do. I guess I should rip a few more small pieces. But, well, my husband has to go somewhere this weekend. He has to go to a friend's house. But he didn't know if he was going to go there today or tomorrow. So if he goes tomorrow, then I think maybe today I'm going to run to the city and see what kind of things they have at the craft store there. Not for this series, but I don't... Hubby noticed last night I was getting a little bit crabby. Said, you need to go somewhere. So I think that I might do that today. It will be fun. Not exactly sure. No, it's only been about a month since I went somewhere. But I do go grocery shopping every week. That's always on a quick time frame because I have to hit it between meals. So I'm quite happy that he thinks I need to go away. Well, not that, but I don't know how to say it. He's a good husband. So, because he stays with Papa, and Papa's my father, and his father too, you know, I mean, we've been married for going on 30 years, so he's been his father for a long time, but I still do appreciate that he realizes that I need to kind of get out and have a little bit of time to myself, because I've been staying home for, it's been, well, 2017, it'll be 11 years this year that I've not worked and pretty much not gone anywhere unless I had someone here to care for my parents. And I'm kind of getting a little bit like a hermit. I almost don't mind it. In the beginning, I was so busy with my mom that I didn't really notice it. After Mom passed away, Papa doesn't need a lot of care. He needs to be looked after. He needs to be fed, make sure he takes his pills and stuff, but he's not as sick as what my mother was and needing that type of, care. So I do get to play a lot with my art stuff, which is very cool, and I enjoy that. So kind of liking staying home, but after a while of really not getting out and just doing something for you, it gets a little bit, I don't know, I think we all need to go out and just like see people. We live in the country, so here I see lots of birds, and in the springtime we see the baby foxes because we have lots of families of foxes around here. And I've got my dogs, and we have a cat who likes to drive the dogs crazy. But let's see. I'm thinking I need to make some smaller pieces here. And once I finish this little bit at the bottom, do the top lid, or lip, I guess I should say, right around there. And I think it's easiest to, I'm not going to put any more on the bottom. I might decide I want a little more there, but it is easier to let it dry a bit, not get it too thick. So I'm just going to make sure that I get some glue down in those grooves. Well, can't pick that up. And then get the paper down in those grooves. You want to make sure that you keep your top flat so that it doesn't, if you get like a bump on one side, it's going to constantly want to tip your glue over. So just keep your paper from that point and down. I'm going to lose it. Okay, I need to actually hold it this way. And thank you all for your comments on this series. I really appreciate it. I know that a lot of you, this is just very basic and you don't need to go to the Dollar Tree and get these things. But I have had a few comments and I've had a lot of views. So I know sometimes when we're new, we don't actually comment. When I was new, I didn't comment for a long time. I didn't even know how to comment. I think that I had to, in order to leave a comment the time I tried, I think you have to actually sign up with YouTube to do that. So the first few times I think I tried, I didn't leave a comment because I didn't know how to sign up with YouTube. I didn't want to sign up with YouTube. Then finally I just decided to sign up, and then eventually I made a video and then another video. Now today I've made so many friends, and it really has been a lifesaver for me. At least I'm not so much of a hermit if I'm on here talking to you guys, right? But, well, I think that we're getting to the point here where we're going to have to let this dry. And you can, if you have a hair dryer, you can dry it a little bit with your hair dryer or with your heat gun. That juice bottle that I showed you was a lot thicker than this pop bottle. So if you use a heat gun or even your high heat on your hair dryer, just be careful because you don't want to melt all your work to where you can't use it. And if it does start to melt, the biggest thing is just get that bottom flat so that you'll be able to set it on your desk. And then once this dries, then we can make some flowers to put on it, or some butterflies, or we can doodle on it. We can put some paint on it, whitewash it, or do whatever we feel like doing. Antique it with some black. I think I need a little bit more right here. And I want to go with the yellow. Like that. So, but yeah, so thank you all very much for your comments. I really appreciate it. I know that you don't really necessarily need or have to watch this series, but I do appreciate the support. And I figured once I started it, I'm going to keep it going, because if I was a new crafter and I found a series 6 months down the line, really started watching it, and then all of a sudden it just quit after a couple of episodes, I would be disappointed. So, and I'm enjoying doing it, so I'm just going to continue. I'm going to try and do it for the whole year. I'm almost afraid to think of how much craft supplies I'm going to have for this series at the end of a year, because I'm actually surprised at how fast they're building up already. It's been fun. It's actually been kind of interesting seeing how we really can craft on so much less than what we think we may have to have. So there we go. This is what we look like so far. And I'm going to let this dry. And then I'll decide if I want to put some more on it. Oh, I think I want a little bit more right here. It's very thin. I'll decide if I want to put some more on it, or if I want to just make some flowers. I think I'm going to paint some paper so that I will be able to make some flowers to put on here. And I'll paint some paper that kind of goes with these colors. I've used up pretty much most of the painting paper that I had the first piece that I did. And I used up all of my washi tape that I made making my faux roll top, which is coming out next week, that video. Actually, there's 3 of them. Yeah, so I'm going to let this dry, make some painting paper, and then once it's dry, I'll come back and I'll show you how I'm going to decorate it. But actually, we could leave it here. We actually didn't even have to go this far. We could have just taken the bottle and cut it and used it to hold our glue. But I think that's going to be cute. The other thing that I'm going to do, even though my tablecloth is plastic still is a little bit sticky. And so I am going to use a piece of parchment to stick underneath of it so that it doesn't stick to my tablecloth. And well, if I can get it to rip. That way it won't stick to my tablecloth and pull off some of my tissue paper. So there we go. This is what we've got so far. And I think it really looks cute like that. I might just make a few really little flowers and just put them like right in this ridge right here, just to kind of cover up a little bit that it's a bottle. It's a bottle. You can tell it's a bottle, and that's okay. If it holds my glue upside down and I'm not constantly doing this trying to get my glue, I'm happy with it. So, alrighty. I'll be back in a while with a little bit of decorating. Okay, so I'm just messing with my paint, and I thought, well, maybe you might want to paint with me. So I am going to, I put down some green already. And I'm going to use some of my green glitter. Or maybe, well, I'm going to use the green glitter because I've already got the green on my paintbrush here. And I'm just going to put the green glitter on top of my green. I've never seen anything like this glitter paint. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like a jelly. It's very odd. Came from the Dollar Tree. But I like it. There's nothing wrong with it. It surprised me the very first time I opened it what it was like. So there we go. Now I'm just gonna continue. I'm not gonna clean my brush, I don't think, unless things start turning muddy. So after that, I'm gonna go with some yellow. Put a little bit of that on my palette. That should be enough. What was the last thing I was doing? Oh, when I was doing my washi tape, which is coming up very shortly. I kept running out of yellow. I put a little bit more out, wasn't enough. Put a little bit more out, wasn't enough. I don't know what I was doing, but yeah, I'm liking these colors together. I'll put that yellow right over top of the green a little bit too to lighten it up. And I'm going to use this to make flowers, maybe butterflies. Maybe I'll make butterflies. I think I might do that. And I was thinking, I'm going to make flowers with it. And, you know, like most flowers aren't green. But there are some green flowers out there. These are just little strips of cardboard that I cut to get the... I don't think I want too much blue. Just to get the paint out of the pot without having to stick my brush in there. Little of this blue just here and there. This is a really strong blue. But it should mix just fine because blue and green and yellow all go together. I think I'm gonna maybe leave a few little kind of white spots there. I'm using my nice big brush. This is a really nice soft brush. I really like it. I'm keeping my eyes open at the Dollar Tree for some type of a better artist brush, you know, like crafting artist brush, because those nylon ones are really hard. And they don't work really well for certain things. Okay, I'm going to just kind of hit the white here. Just because whatever I'm going to make is going to be small to fit on that bottle. So I don't want a little tiny white butterfly. Pick it up off my table there. And there we go. I think I'm going to go a few strokes this way just to kind of mess up those lines a bit. There we go. So there's some pretty painty paper. So now we've got both of those things drying, and we'll be able to come back in a bit and make our butterflies. Let's put this on my... Oh, I have to show you my wipe-off paper. This is really kind of cool. Okay. So when I have this, I usually just take it and put it on my wipe-off paper like this, just so that I don't waste the paint that's on there. So the last time I was painting, I put it on my wipe-off paper like that, and I got this. And to me, that looks like two eyes. I think that's really cool. So I'm not using this wipe-off paper anymore because I'm going to do something with that and make that into two eyes, make it into a face. But you never know with your wipe-off paper what you're going to wind up with, because I really like that. Of course, I love eyes. So, anyways, I'll be back in just a little bit. Okay, so my paper is all dry, and so I just cut out a couple of strips where I'd get a few different colors, and I took my butterfly that I had made when we did our paper clips, and I kept that and the little tiny envelope that we made. And so I just took that and traced around it a few times. And then I wanted to do a couple flowers also. So let me unfold this so you can see what I did. I just cut a square of my colored paper, folded it in half, folded it in half, and then folded it to a point. And then I'm just going to cut, you've got the folded side here, and I'm just going to come down that about halfway and then go up and make a petal shape and come down to about where I started on the other side and cut it off. And then let's see what it looks like. If it doesn't look good, we can just make another one, or we can adjust this one. And there we go. That looks pretty good, except that I'm really deep here and then really shallow here. So what I'm going to do is fold that up. This is where I'm shallow at. So I'm just going to take my scissors and bring that down a little bit. Come on the other side, take my scissors and bring that down a little bit. There we go, get that out of there. Now let's see what it looks like. There, that's better. And I like that shape, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, okay, it's not going to fit on that piece that I cut. So I'm just going to cut another piece. And just trace around it on here. Kind of went off the edge of the paper right there, so when I cut that one, I'll just round it off when I get to the edge. Just a couple more left here. There we go. Okay, so right here I went off the paper a little bit, so when I cut that, I'll just make it round. Just do it like this. And whenever you're cutting anything out, it's easier to move the paper and not your scissors. So right there's where I went off the edge, so I'm just going to go around so that doesn't have a flat spot on it. And I don't have to stay exactly on the lines, it doesn't matter. It's just a little free-form flower. And nothing in nature is perfect, so therefore, we're part of nature. We don't have to be perfect either. Let's get this last petal cut out and see what it looks like. There we go. And there's our flower. So I'm going to cut out these butterflies that I traced on my paper, and I'm going to make a few more flowers, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I cut out all my butterflies and my flowers, and in my little envelope I had a few extra pieces, so I cut out a couple of different color centers for my flowers. I put all of my extra pieces in here. I put my new flower template in there, so I'll have it for later. I was glad that I kept that little butterfly so I didn't have to try and draw another one. And then what I did on all of them is I just edged them in black, and I did that by tracing around it on the back. So because that way this paper is very absorbent, so it really wants to absorb the black marker. And so doing it on the back, I don't get quite as much black marker along the edge as if I were to do it on the front. If you want your black outline to be more solid than that, then you can just go ahead and go around it on the front. And then I put a body on my butterflies. I did it with half of them I did with the black paint pen, and half of them I did with our white correction pen from the Dollar Tree. And the way that I did that was just start at the head and kind of round out just a little bit, and then go back up and round out a little bit on the other side, and then fill in the center. And there we go. That's how the butterflies look with their centers done. For the flowers centers, I just put some black dots on them with the Sharpie, and then I just did it randomly, and then I just took the white paint pen, or well, we're going to just call it our paint pen. Took the white paint pen and just put some white dots on it. Okay, whenever you use this and you're done with it, make sure that you wipe off the tip, or I think it could get clogged. And then what we need to do is just take our flowers. Now, you can just use a piece of, let me grab a piece of paper towel here, and just fold this up till it's kind of small, and it will be soft but firm. And you can use anything. They make special pads to do this with, but you don't really need the special pads. And we'll just take our flower, turn it upside down, and take the rounded end of our Sharpie here. And we're just going to kind of push on that and go out, push in the center and go out to the end of each petal. And that's going to kind of round them backwards. And that will make a little cup shape like this. Okay, and then we'll tip it over, and we'll just push right in the center. And then that makes our flower look like this. And it just gives it some dimension. You can also take your scissors and round the petals like this, instead of putting it down flat and using your pen to push on it. And you know, you can even use your hand to push that center in like that. And that just gives us dimension. And so let's just do one just with the scissors. And then what we'll do is, the way that I planned this was to do 2 flowers on top of each other and then a center. I would just do like that. And then, oops, get our tacky glue, which luckily I keep it upside down. I think I want to do the dark one on the bottom. So just a little touch of glue. And then offset the petals like that, so you can see the back one behind the front one. Push that together. And then I'm going to take my center. Where's my pen? And I'm going to kind of cone that around. Let's do it right here in my hand. Just kind of push in the center to bring those edges up, because our flower is domed that way. Put a little dot of glue in the center. Put that right in there. And I gotta push it in the middle. There we go. So there's one of our flowers, just right on the other side of the table. Oh, when I threw that a little bit, it got off, so I'm going to adjust it before it dries. And there we go. Now I'm going to use my tacky glue, and I'm just going to attach that on there. Then I'm going to take my butterflies. Now, this is not quite dry yet, and I want to make sure that when I put this on here, that I don't go up over the top where the glue has to set. unless I test it first. So that would be okay to put that one right there. And even though this is still a little bit damp, since that dampness is glue, I can go ahead. I keep messing up my flower. There we go. I use my pen to press that together. And just fiddle with it till you get it how you like it. There, I like the way that looks now. Now where's my glue? My glue is right there. I'm just going to put that. Give it a little press into the glue. Make sure that it's not going to interfere with my glue pot, and it's not. So then I can just take my butterflies and kind of bend them on each side of the body so that the body is flat. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to kind of curl my wings. And I'm just like pushing down in the middle again. And then I'm going to take this butterfly and layer it on top of this one. Yep, I like that. So I'm going to curl these wings back a little bit. And you can just do your butterflies just like this. They don't even need to be layered. As a matter of fact, there's really no point. I mean, to give it some dimension, and if I was going to put this flat on paper, I would leave the back one flat and put it flat on the paper, and then I would put this one on top to give it some dimension. But since we're not on paper and we're not going to be flat, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my butterflies, once I get them curled up like this, and I'm just going to place them all around, kind of facing different ways. And then just, because I don't want to squish the wings and everything, I'm going to use my scissors just to press in the center so that I'm only pressing down the body. And I'll lift this one back up a bit because he got kind of squished. And that's what it's looking like. So I have one more flower that I'm going to put on here and the rest of my butterflies, and I will be right back. And here is my completed glue holder. So this is what it looks like. And now it just has to dry. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. Let's see, this little butterfly right here, he's not a swallowtail like all the rest. Because when I was curling him, I ripped off one tail, so I just cut off the other tail and then just hit the bottom with a little bit of black marker on the back again. But that's how it turned out. This is how our glue sits in here. It'll just sit on our desk just like that. Keep our glue upside down. You just take it out, drop it back in. It works really great, and I think that you'll really love it if you make yourself one of these. Whenever you use any kind of sticky glue, you'll really like having that there. Now, I always do put my lid back on before I put it on there because it will drain out if you don't. But that's just me. So anyways, I just wanted to show you how to make those. I hope that you like it. I hope that you make one for yourself and get a lot of use out of it. I have used mine over and over for years, so I really do love it. And I thank the lady that did it on YouTube a long time ago. I don't know who it was, but she really saved me a whole lot of headache of shaking glue and waiting for it while I was in a hurry. So that works really well. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked this supplemental video, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.